The media, images, and descriptions in this article contain graphic or disturbing content. Reader discretion is advised. The following sections discuss real events and may include sensitive details related to violence, death, and war. The morning of fire. The sun had barely risen over the border when the sky lit up. Rockets screamed through the dawn, and explosions rolled across the open land. People woke to sirens, shattering glass, and the sense that something unstoppable had begun. From Gaza came the roar of engines. Men in black uniforms, some wearing civilian clothes, others disguised in Israeli army gear, crossed the border on trucks and motorcycles. Others soared over the fence on paragliders, their silhouettes cutting through the morning light. They carried rifles, grenades, and orders to kill. The border fell within minutes. Cameras that once monitored it went dark. They swept through towns and villages with ruthless precision. Doors were kicked in, families were dragged out, homes were set on fire, while people were still inside. The attackers shot anyone who ran and took anyone who screamed. In places like Be'eri and Kfar Aza, entire neighborhoods were wiped out before soldiers could respond. At the music festival near Re'im, thousands had gathered to dance under open skies. When the rockets began, some thought it was just part of the chaos of the region. Then the gunfire started. The celebration turned into a massacre. Mass rapes, bodies scattered across the desert. Survivors fled into the fields, hiding under trees or inside cars that soon burned. By the time the army regained control, hundreds were dead. Civilians, children, police, and soldiers. The toll rose by the hour. Some attackers remained hidden among the bodies. Others fled back across the border with hostages. Women, the elderly, even infants, vanishing into Gaza as Israel prepared for war. The videos and the photos that surfaced, the IDF released this video soon after. Source, Reuters. A Gazan militant binds the hands of Daniela Gilboa as other female hostages who are Israeli soldiers, including Karina Ariev, sit on the ground during their capture at Nahal Oz military base, southern Israel, October 7th, 2023. This link has all the videos of October 7th that I know of. I know there are more, but some have been shown only to the press. The aftermath and the response, October 8th, 2023. By nightfall, the country was burning. Roads were jammed with soldiers, ambulances, and families trying to escape. Smoke drifted across the border as rescue teams searched the ruins for survivors. Every siren sounded like grief. Israel was in shock. Intelligence had failed to see it coming. Warnings had been ignored or buried. People demanded answers, but first came rage. Within hours, the Air Force launched its counterattack. Fighter jets tore through the sky, striking dozens of targets across Gaza. Buildings fell one after another. The sound of revenge echoed louder than the cries. The government declared war. A full mobilization began. Reservists were called from every part of the country. Thousands packed their bags and returned to base. The tone in the streets shifted from disbelief to fury. Posters of kidnapped civilians appeared everywhere. Faces of mothers, children, soldiers, printed on walls and cars. Inside Gaza, entire blocks vanished under bombardment. The night glowed orange. Journalists filmed children covered in dust. Hospitals filled beyond capacity. People dug with their hands. Israel said it was going after Hamas. Hamas said it was ready for martyrdom. Civilians stood in between, trapped in a storm no one could stop. The conflict spread's rockets hit Tel Aviv and Ashkelon. Israeli artillery answered from the south. In the north, Hezbollah fired across the border from Lebanon. Every day brought new funerals. Every night brought more air raids. The world watched and argued, each side certain it understood justice. The war grinds on. Weeks turned into months. Gaza's power failed. Food and medicine ran short. Israel pressed deeper, with tanks and ground troops. The fighting turned into a maze of tunnels, smoke, and fear. Soldiers walked through broken cities, finding weapons beside toys and bodies wrapped in blankets. Families of hostages waited for news that rarely came. Some learned their loved ones were dead through videos released online. Others clung to hope, long after logic had given up. The pain spread across borders. Protests filled cities from London to New York. Some called for peace. Others called for vengeance. By the end of the year, Gaza was a shadow of itself. The war had no clear end. Only the echo of October 7 remained, carved into memory and history, impossible to erase. Gaza Today Palestinian Sellians celebrated after the attacks. Hamas. Hamas launched rockets from areas dangerously close to schools and civilian buildings, showing little concern for the people living nearby. Their actions put countless innocent lives at risk and deepened the suffering on both sides. But Hamas didn't care when their sites were hit by the IDF, because their hatred of Jews was strong enough to justify civilian casualties for their end goals. Their ultimate goal, the destruction of Israel and the creation of an Islamic Palestinian state in its place. Though today, its leaders present it as a long-term resistance towards self-determination within pre-1967 borders. But that raises a serious contradiction. If Israel were destroyed, how could it return to pre-1967 borders? My note, Brandon Brasson. It's not just Hamas. There are gangs. There are mobs in Gaza. I'll cover more of this in a different article. This one is already long. Since the beginning of this conflict, there have been countless videos of children, women, and men in pieces or in parts. So many videos and images I could show. Most of it I'll just link to show you the horror these people went through. Let me also say this. Some of the media coming out is fake, but these videos are not fake. They are very real. Palestine ambulance ambush. Soldiers sexually abusing Palestinian prisoners. Media and reports. UN and World Bank reports on damage and humanitarian crisis. Joint World Bank, UN, and EU interim damage assessments estimate $18.5 billion in critical infrastructure damage as of Jan 2024, $53 billion in reconstruction needs, $30 billion in physical damages alone as of Oct 2024. Ungenocide findings, a September 2025 press release by the UN Independent International Commission of Inquiry, concluded Israel has committed genocide in the Gaza Strip. UNRWA situation reports, published famine in Gaza, governorate confirmed by IPC on August 22, 2025. Malnutrition reached 28.5% in Gaza City. Infectious diseases surged, large-scale displacement, destruction of civilian infrastructure. AP investigation. Sexual exploitation for aid women in Gaza told the Associated Press that they were exploited by local men, including some linked to aid groups, who promised food, money, or work in exchange for sex. The Protection from Sexual Exploitation and Abuse, PSEA, network received 18 allegations in the past year, including some involving UNRWA. Aid Control and Chaos, source TRT World. x.com/tr/status/1109245711126. Israel still imposes tight control on food, aid, and supplies. Hostage deals are still being negotiated. Hamas and local gangs control what's left of the aid. They decide who eats and who waits. Food trucks vanish before reaching camps. Rice is traded for loyalty. Medicine goes to fighters first, then to whoever can pay. This chaos fuels recruitment and radicalization. Why was this article made? The truth is simple. It's unfortunate to say, but there are winners when everyone else is dead, gone, or forced to convert to the opponent's ideas. Both the Israelis and the Palestinians know this. It's the history of the world. Hatred eats everything. It eats nations. It eats faiths. It eats reason. It turns people into targets and homes into ash. It makes lies sound holy and cruelty sound like duty. You can see it in the eyes of the survivors. You can hear it in the silence of what used to be cities. We tell ourselves the world will learn. It never does. Another war will come. More will die. Another country will say, I had no choice. But there is always a choice. There always was. But the choice takes two. I write this not to take sides, but to remind you, these are human beings. They bleed. They fear. They hope. Some still search for their families under collapsed walls. Others try to rebuild what cannot be rebuilt. When the smoke fades and the speeches end, the dead will not hear them. Only the living can change what happens next. Brandon T. Brasson. What's next? I'll wrap up this article here, but there's still more to cover. Next, I'll be exploring the global influences of this conflict, how it has affected Israel and Jewish culture, and how the overuse of the term anti-Semite is beginning to dilute its meaning. Also, how Palestinians could benefit more from a multi-state solution, or from resettlement in other countries, and the effects of immigration in the United Kingdom, Western Europe, and the world. Maybe I'll make that next.